aside, especially reserved for the purpose by the Speaker during President's question time. This is guided by Standing Order 70C. According to today's order paper, the President is expected to respond to questions from Honorable Ashen Songwe MP from Rikoma Islands, Honorable Mike Bango MP, Kasungu North Constituency, Honorable Paul Dumembi Nkoma MP, Kasungu North Northeast Constituency, Honorable Salim Bakas MP, Chikwawa Central Constituency, and Honorable Kenneth Ndovi MP, representing Karonga Nyungwe Constituency. Thus, the Speaker's procession making way into the Parliament chamber. We now cross over for the chamber to follow today's proceedings.
Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the office of the rulers and parliament for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we ask you to behold with your abundant favors your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
General business, communication from the chair.
Good afternoon, honorable members, and welcome to Parliament. Honorable members, I wish to welcome His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Makate Chakwera into Parliament chamber. You are welcome, Your Excellency. Honorable members, I wish to remind you that His Excellency the President is appearing before the House to answer questions based on Standing Order 89(3)(c) of the Constitution as read with Standing Order 70(b). May I take this opportunity to welcome His Excellency to this august House as you'll be discharging your constitutional duties. I wish to commend Your Excellency for this noble gesture. In terms of procedure for questions to the President, I wish to remind honorable members that we will be guided by Standing Order 70(b). The President will answer questions and issues which members raised in the SONA, and he is free to respond to some issues raised during the general debate on the SONA. The duration of this session is 1 hour, 30 minutes. A maximum of 5 questions, but I would like to inform the House that 1 question has been withdrawn on the order paper, and they shall be taken together with a maximum of 3 supplementary questions, which will be allowed on any of the 5 original 4 questions to the President. May I remind you, honorable members, that these supplementary questions have to arise directly from the answers to the original question. They should not be used to introduce matters not included in the original answer to the question, and the supplementary question shall not purport to raise a new matter on the floor. And to our visitors in the visitors gallery, you're not allowed to take part in debate, you're not allowed to clap, you're not allowed to jeer. Ndingonena sonchichewa alendo atu amene mwabwera muli mwambamu sinololedwa kuombera manja kapena kuyankhulapo pa chilichonse chimene chikuyankhulidwa nyumba muno. Tikapeza ena akupanga zimenezo ndi atuma achitetezo athu kuti akutulutseni nyumba muno. Honorable members, welcome Your Excellency, and clerks at the table.
General business, questions to the President, understanding order 70(b).
Honorable member for Blantyre City South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let us follow our own rules. Honorable Salima Southeast is currently serving a suspension. I have also served suspension. Why is it always Malawi Congress Party want to break laws in this house? Why, Madam Speaker? Let's respect the speakership office. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Blantyre City Southwest. Clerks at the table, can you check for me in terms of the punishment? Was the Honorable Member for Salima Southwest, was he supposed to come in the house? Tomorrow. I'm being guided by both the Deputy Speaker and the clerk that he was supposed to come tomorrow and not today. Honorable Member for Salima Southwest. Honorable members, can you have order, please? Honorable Member for Salima Southwest. Yes, I've been guided that you're supposed to come back tomorrow, please. Thank you. Honorable Leader of the House.
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker and the whole House. The Honorable Member for Salima Southeast was sent out under Standing Order 105. And if you allow me to read that Standing Order.
Honorable Leader, are we going to start debating that issue here?
Because the Standing Order recognizes the first day as first day and the second day.
Honorable Leader
so he has already spent 2 days.
Honorable Leader of the House. I don't think
Much obliged, but it was under Standing Order 105.
Yes, but I've been guided that it was said that the member should come tomorrow. So let's not go back to that debate, please. We now go to the questions to Understanding Order 70B. And I'll ask the Honorable Member for Likoma Island to ask and confirm the question.
Thank you, Madam Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to ask question number PQT1, standing to my name on today's order paper. I thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency the President. Can I have order, honorable members? Order, honorable members.
Madam.
Members, order on my right, please.
Madam Speaker, as it has been my custom from the onset of my presidency, I once again present myself before you and this entire assembly in compliance with the Constitution of the Republic of Malawi, which commands me as a servant of the Malawian people to appear before their representatives in this august House to answer their questions. In this context, it is only appropriate that as I begin, just like I've done in previous occasions, I make a statement by which I account for the State of the Nation address that I delivered here on the 14th day of February, and which the honorable members of this House have been debating in the 12 days since. A sacred duty that I feel honored and humbled to discharge, and for which I owe you and this House many deepest thanks. Madam Speaker, from following the debate on my State of the Nation address in this House closely, before I respond to specific questions, it's become clear to me that this presidential question time is distinct from all the others I have done before. Its uniqueness is in the fact that I stand here today not merely as one accountable, but also as one accused. And both legal and natural justice demand that I face and answer my accusers. The accusation leveled against me is that the State of the Nation address that I delivered before this House was a total lie designed to deceive Malawians and resulting from a chorus of ministers and senior officials who feed me with lies. And my unequivocal answer and plea to this pernicious charge is that I'm not guilty. My ministers are not guilty, and my senior officials are not guilty, as it will soon become clear. I never imagined, Madam Speaker, that a day would come when I would be forced to subject your good office and the dignity of this House to a narration of the process I undertake in constructing the State of the Nation address. But I beg your indulgence to do so this one time in order to allow the truth to triumph over the culture of false accusations that prevails in our politics. I say that there is a culture of false accusations in our politics, Madam Speaker, because, as you know, this is neither an isolated incident nor the first time that a false accusation has been leveled against me and published so far and wide that it even achieves wide acceptance among the most enlightened, thoughtful, educated, and respected Malawians here at home and abroad. For example, it is that same culture from which one opposition party in this House spread the false accusations that I had received bribes in exchange for MTF contracts in 2022, which I did not. It is that same culture from which this same party spread the false accusation that I ordered the arrest of the former Director General of the Anti-Corruption Bureau in 2023 when I did not. It is that same culture from which this same party spread the false accusation that I had assassinated my own Vice President in 2024 when I did not. And of course, it is that same culture from which this party even spread the false story that I had died just 5 months ago, which I certainly hope I did not. And so, Madam Speaker, this latest accusation that my State of the Nation address was, quote, all lies, unquote, to quote the Honorable Leader of Opposition, or that it was, quote, full of lies, end of quote, to quote the Honorable Member of Blantyre City South, comes out of this culture, and it is no surprise. But, Madam Speaker, if their accusation that my address was all lies is to be believed, it would mean that even when I said in my address that they are bona fide members of Parliament, it was all lies. And I saw them. They came, some of them walked out. If the accusation that I'm addressed was all lies is to be believed, it would mean that their own constituencies or members of their constituencies who acknowledge that they indeed received the cash transfers or NEEF loans or CDF funds or school blocks or ICT labs or bridges or health services or bags of maize that I mentioned in my address are also lying. But I do not believe the people of Mulanje or Blantyre are like that. If the accusation that my address was all lies is to be believed, it would mean that even their fellow opposition MPs also lied when they acknowledged that their constituencies indeed received the developments I mentioned in the SONA, including the DPP member of Parliament from Mwanza Central, who acknowledged the health units and schools we have delivered, and the stadium and police unit that are 90% done, or the DPP member of Parliament for Zomba Malosa, who acknowledged the construction of a police unit at Domas using the development funds my government provided, or the DPP member of Parliament for Chitipa South, who acknowledged the rural hospital in Tariri. As you can see, Madam Speaker, even in the opposition's own rank are honorable members who are honest enough to dispute the allegation that my State of the Nation address was all lies. And so, like every other false accusation that I have faced since I took office, I believe this one will also die the death it deserves from the light of truth. Madam Speaker, my point here is that if the people making this false accusation had any interest in the truth, they would have remained consistent among themselves, but they did not do so. As I recall, the leader of opposition even stated in his response to my State of the Nation address last week, Monday, that he and the entire opposition will not participate in the debate on the SONA because it was, quote, a political speech full of lies, end of quote. And yet his fellow opposition MPs went ahead to debate on the SONA. But I have not heard anyone accusing him of lying to this House or of being a leader of opposition whom his MPs do not listen to. Most importantly, Madam Speaker, if the people making this false allegation had any interest in the truth, they would have sought my explanation for the queries they had observed in the SONA, but they did not. Instead, after observing that about 2% of the data I reported on each district had a query, they rushed to this House and the media to allege that the only explanation for those queries was that I and my ministers had colluded to come here and lie. It is not true, Madam Speaker. What is true is that the construction of the State of the Nation address goes through 9 different stages involving no less than 75 technocrats, and the first 5 of these stages include the development of the SONA framework, the compilation of the required SONA data, the review of that data, the verification of that data with the actuals on the ground, and fifthly, the transfer of the verified data from the different ministries into a unified data matrix in my office. So as soon as I learned that some had observed that 2% of that data I reported on each district had a query, I investigated the matter and found that the variants all emanated from a team of 5 technocrats who had inadvertently transferred 2% of the verified data from the ministries into the wrong categories of my unified data matrix. As such, there was no lying involved at any point in this exercise, since the same technocrats who had entered this small fraction of the data that had been queried are also the ones who entered 98% of the data that has not been queried. So once they had entered all the verified data into my unified data matrix, the remaining 5 stages of building the SONA began, namely the formulation of an overarching narrative, followed by the drafting, editing, formatting, and printing of the final speech. So as you can see, Madam Speaker, this is a meticulous process, and while it is not immune to human error, it is immune to deception. This, Madam Speaker, is the true explanation for the queries observed in a fraction of the data I reported here for each district. Now, Madam Speaker, this does not mean that the errors made by my team of data analysts do not matter. In fact, those 5 technocrats have since been summoned and reprimanded, and the head of the team has since been fired from this position as team leader. Rather, what it means is that I cannot and will not condone the attempts by the opposition in this House and some in the media to brand them as liars and to demonize ministers and other officials in my government who are not even part of that team, because that would be a violation of the oath I took to do right by all. For avoidance of doubt, Madam Speaker, it is not that any of my ministers and officials are perfect, but the allegation that they lied to me or that my SONA was full of lies is a categorically false and politically motivated attack designed to build someone's political capital by destroying mine. But as God is my witness, Madam Speaker, not even I myself have ever claimed to be an angel whose words or actions cannot be queried. So those of you who are looking for a president who is a flawless angel from heaven should vote for somebody else this year, because angelic perfection is a standard I'll never be able to reach. For this reason, Madam Speaker, in compliance with the rules of this House, I hereby withdraw the fraction of data in my State of the Nation address that have been queried, and I humbly request your good office to have the vast majority and remainder of that address, which cannot be queried or disputed, remain in the record of the Hansard and be adopted by this House as moved by the honorable member of Mcheo Central. Now, since I have proven beyond reasonable doubt the claim by the leader of opposition that my SONA had no word of truth in it, it is itself an inaccurate statement that was made in this House. I invite him to follow my example by withdrawing those parts of his response from the Hansard. That is what integrity and good governance demand. Understandably, such a withdrawal may be harder for him than it is for me because of the differences in the values espoused by our respective parties. After all, Madam Speaker, I'm fully persuaded that the party I belong to, the mighty Malawi Congress Party, is a party truly committed to transparency and honesty. Ours is not the party that discredited the corpse of a president by taking it to hospital to lie to Malawians that he was alive. Ours is not the party that lied to Malawians that it will open the Nsanje Inland Port on its first day in government in order to get votes from the Lower Shire. Ours is not the party that planted dozens of foundation stones around the country to lie to Malawians that the planting of such stones means that they initiated the project. Ours is not the party that put one thin layer of tarmac on roads to lie to Malawians that this would turn Malawi into Singapore. Ours is not the party that lied to Malawians that there was Forex in the central bank when that Forex was just money laundering scheme covered up by submitting false records to the International Monetary Fund. Ours, Madam Speaker, is certainly not the party that lied to Malawians that it won an election credibly when all know that its path to the State House was paved with Tipex instead of votes. So, Madam Speaker, if after my compliance with the rules of this House in this transparent manner, anyone here still wishes to keep falsely accusing me of delivering a SONA full of lies just to demonize me, then I trust God and the Malawian people to be the judge. I trust that the Malawian people who were kind enough to have me serve as their president, even though they know I am not an angel, are also fair enough to have me continue serving as their president, because they know I am not the demon some here paint me to be, for I have never done or said anything as president to lie, kill, steal, or destroy. All that I am, Madam Speaker, is an imperfect human being who is devoted to bringing development to Malawians despite the most difficult economic conditions and the most painful climate conditions that have affected all the nations in our region and that have hit Malawians in harsher ways than any president before me ever has had to deal with. But I can assure you, Madam Speaker, that with or without the fraction of queried data in my SONA, its central message remains true, undeniable, and worthy of adoption by this House. And that message is that there is no district in this country in which you will not find multiple developments, some completed and some in progress, that stand as a testimony of my commitment to serve all Malawians. And so I ask all Malawians who value progress over politics to allow me to take those developments forward. That, Madam Speaker, is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Now, before I conclude my opening remarks, Madam Speaker, let me make one final point that I consider to be the most important. It is lamentable that so much of the time and resources the opposition has spent in this House has been wasted on viciously attacking me instead of coming together to attack the two real enemies of Malawians, the first of which is hunger, occasioned by drought, which have been addressed since October by distributing maize and providing cash to support the most vulnerable, as well as bringing in additional maize from Tanzania into our market to stabilize food inflation. And the other enemy of Malawians is the cruel raising of commodity prices by greedy and lawless traders. I can therefore only agree with the honorable leader of the United Democratic Front in this House, who responded to my State of the Nation address by saying that, quote, the two most pressing issues facing Malawians today are firstly the economy and secondly food security, end of quote. But where he mostly focused on stating the problem, I intend to focus on providing a diagnosis of the causes and providing solutions. In fact, investigations by our intelligence service has found that the current hyperinflation of prices is being done deliberately by some traders in collusion with one of the opposition parties in this House in order to make Malawians suffer so that this same party can use the pain being inflicted on innocent Malawians as a campaign tool to tell Malawians that the unfair trading and illegal pricing of goods is happening because of me. But as far as I am concerned, Madam Speaker, that is betrayal of the Malawian people. In fact, I want to categorically tell the leaders of this political party that your secret plans have been exposed and will not prevail. I said to the leaders of this political party that your plot to overthrow my government through this means by instigating an illegal hyperinflation of prices will not succeed. And my message to all Malawians everywhere is this, Madam Speaker. Since you have sent me questions about this crisis of prices through your representatives in this House, including questions and petitions some of you marched to present to Parliament yesterday, I will respond to those questions and that petition here today about what my government is doing to stop this greedy and criminal cartel that is inflating prices around the country. In fact, I have come here today primarily to announce the tough and swift actions I'm already taking to deal with this conspiracy of illegally distorting market prices for political gain. I have, of course, already been warned that the people doing this are dangerous and want me to simply leave them alone because they are the real owners of Malawi. But I refuse to be intimidated in my own country. And I'm prepared to fight against all foreign and domestic enemies of Malawi's economic sovereignty until the Malawians who are suffering under this yoke are free. My resolve and my mission is to liberate suffering Malawians from the economic shackles of this cartel, come what may. And it is because of this resolve that I am appointing Honorable Engineer Vitumbiko Mumba as the new Minister of Trade and Industry effective immediately. With these remarks, Madam Speaker, let me proceed to the first question. Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank the good people of Likoma Islands for their question regarding my administration's plans to modernize the water transport sector in the country. Madam Speaker, transport and public works have been identified by my administration as accelerators of economic productivity. To pave way for the modernization of the sector, I recently issued an executive order to terminate the 35-year Marine Services Concession Agreement that the DPP government badly negotiated and signed with Mora NGO through Malawi Shipping Company, which was making losses. Under the concession, the company was to manage and develop the ports of Chipoka, Chirumba, Karabe, and Monkey Bay. But as I'm speaking now, Madam Speaker, these ports are in ruins to the point that Chipoka Port is currently closed to the public. As part of my pledge to take our development forward, my administration is resuscitating and capacitating Malawi Lake Services Limited to continue rendering shipping services and port operations on Lake Malawi. Madam Speaker, my administration is also constructing a modern jetty at Likoma, which is nearing completion, to be followed by the construction of a landing facility at Chizumulu. And not only are the designs for that ready, but a site for it has also been identified. This will significantly reduce travel time and cost between Likoma and Karabe, thus fostering trade, economic growth, and enhancing tourism. Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that my administration is conducting a comprehensive study for Chipoka Port as a modern multimodal transport hub which connects rail, road to support the secondary cities initiative. We expect this to improve the movement of both passengers and cargo. Similar studies are being conducted in Kotakota and Karabe with support from African Development Bank, and plans are underway to construct a port at Makanjira to support the mining sector there. Plans are also underway to rehabilitate the Monkey Bay and Chilumba ports and construct the landing sites at Usisha and Mlowe. Madam Speaker, just 6 months ago, I visited Germany as part of strengthening bilateral relationships. While there, I heard meetings with government and private sector players, including a bilateral meeting with the German president, and I shared with them the Malawi National Transport Master Plan, Inland Waterways Subsectoral Plan 2017 to 2037, which presents investment opportunities in port infrastructure and the construction of more efficient vessels to support passenger and freight transport. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to report that as a consequence of my visit, a high-powered delegation from Germany's Federal Association of Public Inland Ports, a grouping of CEOs of inland shipping companies and construction engineers, will be visiting Malawi between March and April this year to look at our inland waterways and hold discussions with officials in the Ministry of Transport and Public Works on the next steps they can take to leverage the investment opportunities we have created in port development and the assembly of fit-for-purpose passenger and cargo vessels in Malawi. The association has also extended an offer of internships in German companies, port authorities, and other related associations. In addition, a high-level delegation that arrived last week from the United Arab Emirates, UAE, discussed with governments some emerging investment opportunities in tourism and water transport. I believe that all these efforts, Madam Speaker, will eventually unlock the potential of tourism and inland water transport as critical enablers in the development of our economy. In other words, just as I declared and delivered the revamping of our railway transport system in my first term, I will declare and deliver the revamping of our water transport system in my second term. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, as per rules, we'll have 3 supplementary questions, and the first one was Nkota Central, and then Zomba, Chisi, and Dedza North. So we'll start with Nkota Central.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for giving us, the people of Nkota Central, an opportunity to ask the President a supplementary question. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for taking an effort to revamp the water transport in Malawi. But water transport in Malawi was combined with the M8 road from Kota Kasungu to Mchinji to shorten the distance of goods from Mozambique, Tanzania, going to Zambia. That is known as Mtwara Corridor. What's the government plan to resuscitate this road, simply because we have some sections, such as the Nkota Msulira Road, which is impassable as I'm speaking, Mr. President, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Nkota Central. Nchisi, Zomba Chisi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for recognizing the people of Zomba Chisi to ask a supplementary question to His Excellency, the President of the Republic. Right Honorable Speaker, you will recall that you only have 2 members of this House of yours who are coming from the islands, and that is the owner of the question, my brother Ashens, and myself, Right Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, I feel entitled to ask a question, a supplementary question over the original question. Right Honorable Speaker, through you, I would like to ask His Excellency the President the plans that his government has to upgrade the road that connects between Zomba City and Chisi Island through the Kachulu Harbor, and that is around Kachulu area. You will recall, Right Honorable Speaker, that I have been standing in this House to ask this very question to the Honorable Ministers, that is the Minister and the Deputy Minister. I have been responded to, but I have the privilege that the Head of State and Government is in this House today. I believe he has got a response for us. Why is it that I'm connecting this question? Is because the island, that is Chisi Island, which hosts over 6,000 people, the people are having challenges to access various services when they go to Zomba City. But over and above that, Right Honorable Speaker, there are so many economic activities that happen around Lake Chirwa and indeed the ecosystems that are supported by the lake. There are farms, schemes, as well as the fishing industry that happens around that area. So my question again, Right Honorable Speaker, through you to His Excellency the President, what his government, or to find out what plans does his government have in upgrading the road, the 23 kilometers road from Zomba City, especially Airwing, to Kachulu Harbor. I thank you, your Right Honorable Speaker, through your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zomba Chisi. Dedza North.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for allowing the people from Senior Chief Tambala and Senior Chief Chauma to ask a supplementary question to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Malawi. But before I pose my question, Madam Speaker, It is understandable that in Malawi for the past 26 years, we lost the three major sources of transport. In 26 years, we lost Air Malawi as our national carrier. And in 26 years, we lost the railway transport. And in 26 years again, we lost the water transport, which was, there was a concession to another company which didn't improve anything. So I would like to really recommend or highly thank His Excellency for coming back to the basics of the economy. There is no economy which can run without transport. Everything we do, it depends on the movement of goods and people. So we are happy that for the first time in 26 years, the railway is back. The Malawi airline, for the first time in the past 2 years, it has made a profit. This is on record. And it is only due to Your Excellency's leadership. So with all that hope, Madam Speaker, when it comes to water transport, I would like to learn from His Excellency if it is possible that through the Malawi Investment and Trade Center, which is Malawi's own investment portfolio, that just in case that we want to be able to attract good investors into the water transport, is your government willing to invest on its own into the water transport, especially on the vessels, the ships, that should be help these people in these island places? My concern is that, Madam Speaker, if the government want to put its own resources into these vehicles, maybe it may take us longer, but with the willingness of His Excellency in establishing the ports and all the other infrastructure, my greatest interest is that the government will it be willing to invest through the MITC, that we should have our own vessels by all means in these people who are living along the lake shore. That's the question from the people of Desert North, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Desert North. Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker, let me thank the people of Nkhotakota Central who pointed out an important aspect of the fact that Malawi is land-linked, and that as part of the SADC region and part of Africa, the design at that time for these various corridors was to enable us move goods and services as well as people through different means, and that involved making sure that we have the ports in Mozambique as well as Tanzania serve as part of this regional connectivity, and we are pursuing the same. That is the reason we have embarked on rehabilitating not just the road infrastructure, but the rail infrastructure. And our intention is to also use the water infrastructure to be able to reach out even to the northern part of Malawi before rail is constructed to Tunduma. Malawi Development Corporation Holding Limited, which was really closed by previous administrations. We are looking at all the companies in which the government has interest to help revamping of all of these, and to ensure that every interest of whatever company it is should feel that what is happening is part of a regional response. So Malawi is not isolated. The particular road you referred to, which is M5, is being worked on through the African Development Bank, and we'll make sure that that whole road is redone, just like the portion that is being done now is being done excellently. Zombachisi, we acknowledge the fact that these are the islands that need connectivity. Didn't necessarily talk about the water transportation issue, but it is an important one because to connect from Zomba City, the 23 kilometers to Kachua Harbor, we need a good road because of the economic benefits that accrue from that island. And we can assure that this is one road that should be considered and is being considered so that we can have the money, and we will make sure that we have designs to take into account the fact that you could have flooding or you could have dry situation like we had lost most of that lake several years ago. And so we will ensure that this is considered because we do not want any part of Malawi delinked from any other part. The North is talking about maybe through MITC, Malawi doing its own investment. We are looking into this. In fact, there is a question later that I will address in terms of how we resource our own monies, produce our own monies to fund our own development. The idea that government is discussing with potential investors to invest in the transport sector is just so that we can move a lot faster. And Germany is the one that has shown interest. And so we want to have our own people trained because we cannot just say something without preparing to do what we say. I would say that that's about all I can say right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We now go to question PQT2, Kasungu North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to confirm that question PQT2 is indeed from the people of Kasungu North. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Kasungu North. Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker, let me thank the people of Kasungu North through you for asking this very important question. I appreciate the concern raised by the good people of Kasungu North regarding the performance of our diplomats as marketers of Malawi's produce. While there is room for improvement in the performance of our diplomats as our nation's economic emissaries, Madam Speaker, I have seen with my own eyes how hard and diligently they work under challenging circumstances, including the challenge of limited resources for marketing the investment opportunities in our country. So, Madam Speaker, let me start by emphasizing that my administration is committed to enhancing trade and investment through our economic diplomacy, guided by our foreign mission engagement strategy. In an increasingly interconnected world, it is essential that we engage with international partners to create opportunities that benefit our economy and strengthen our global standing. Madam Speaker, our economic diplomacy strategy is centered on establishing and nurturing relationships with key trading partners. My administration is actively pursuing bilateral and multilateral trade agreements that not only open markets for our goods and services, but also attract foreign investment into our country for wealth and job creation. By aligning our trade policies with those of our partners, we are laying a foundation for mutually beneficial economic growth. Madam Speaker, the August House is aware that my administration is implementing the agriculture, tourism, and mining ATM strategy, which involves prioritizing investments to sectors that support the strategy in which we have competitive advantages as a nation. By showcasing our strengths at international trade fairs and business fora, we are drawing attention to the opportunities available within our borders. These efforts are supported by our targeted trade missions that facilitate direct engagement with potential traders, investors, and business partners. Madam Speaker, before our trade attachés are deployed, they are oriented in our trade policy and our strategies for promoting trade for the country. This is intended to make sure that they remain focused on our country's needs and development priorities. By engaging our citizens living overseas, we will tap into new markets and bring valuable insights back home, because the time has come for us to empower our upstanding citizens in the diaspora to serve as our nation's volunteer economic envoys so that they can actively leverage their networks abroad for the development of Malawi. Madam Speaker, through the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Malawi's Investment Trade Center, MRTC, our missions in South Africa, Zambia, Kenya, South Sudan, Rwanda, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Netherlands, China, India, Japan, and Kuwait, among others, provided export inquiries on soya, groundnuts, pigeon peas, macadamia nuts, sugar, rice, coffee, rubber, and sesame in 2024. We are therefore following up on these inquiries to turn them into export deals that are vital for diversifying our market, boosting local production, and increasing our forex earnings. So I want to assure this House that Malawi under my leadership, has an excellent cohort of ambassadors around the world, all of whom are professionals, but our biggest challenge in leveraging them for access to new markets is here at home, because we do not produce enough volumes of produce to supply those markets. Which is why I'll never stop preaching production, production, and more production, because no economy is built on the consumption of things we do not produce. Take China and India, for example, both of which are huge markets with a high demand for our produce, but we are not pushing each other enough to produce the volumes these markets demand. So the missing link in our economy is production. And until we all get the message and get serious about healing the open wound of low production, we will continue squabbling over bandages. To conclude my answer on this question, Madam Speaker, I want to call upon the private captains to collaborate more closely with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and MITC to ensure that they are fully informed and ready to seize the export potential available for the country. I also want to call upon commercial banks, which are making huge profits every year, to invest those profits in capitalizing the enterprises of youth and women who are ready to work hard on production. In fact, in my second term, we are even going to explore the idea of turning NIF into a bank that can attract more investment to increase the access of youth and women to funds to establish production plants. I already discussed the idea with the African Development Bank, who are willing to support such a venture. So that is how committed my administration is to creating a conducive environment for production and trade, to add to our ongoing efforts to streamline regulations, procedures, and improve trade infrastructure. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We'll now go for supplementary in Kota North, former Speaker. Honorable Member, you don't want to give your colleagues chances? Kasungu North. You have the floor, Kasungu North.
I have a follow-up question. I'm the one who formulated the question.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for granting an opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the President, building up on his response. Let me also thank the President for coming into the open, that there are some issues that we as a country are not doing it well, more especially the low production of this country. And of course, there are also some other issues to do with the skills that we have in this country. But Madam Speaker, I just want to find out from the President whether for us, we can have what we call appraisal system, whereby these diplomats that have gone to represent us in the country, we should be appraising them, so that those people that fail to do the job in those embassies must be sent back. We should be doing farming together here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kota North. Sorry, for Kasungu North, Honorable Member from Kotakuta North and former Speaker.
Thank you, Your Honor, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to build on the response as offered by the State President regarding law production. He's lamented about the potential that the country has and that we are not utilizing that potential to the maximum, hence generating low volumes of forex. My question, Right Honorable Speaker, to the President is the President aware that when it comes to sugar, as the second forex earner, sometimes third largest forex earner to the nation, that industry has not been regulated ever since we established SONA in 1965. Because of lack of regulation, production has not been improved as much, has not been improved as much on the potential losing out on the potential to have maximum forex. What is happening today, Your Excellency, is that the investor manages every aspect of the industry, including making decisions whether to prioritize export of sugar or indeed to prioritize domestic production and availability of sugar, to the extent that what you have seen, Your Excellency, in the market are distortions. Sometimes there is adequate sugar, sometimes there is not adequate sugar. Sometimes we generate more forex, sometimes we don't generate forex. The reason is we do not have a law. And the draft legislation, Your Excellency, to our encouragement is that as I'm speaking now, the draft piece of legislation is with the Ministry of Justice. There have been consultations with all the relevant stakeholders, the consumers, the farmers, the industry investors, as well as your government bodies. My question, therefore, is it your view, Your Excellency, that this piece of legislation can be prioritized and processes expedited through your Ministry of Justice, through the office of the Leader of the House, so that the sugar industry get sanitized? I would go on, Your Excellency, to mention that the issues of forex, fuel and fertilizer, they will all be handled with the Sugar Commission in place. That would only come in if we have the sugar bill. We have the fertilizer company currently in Luangwa producing fertilizer from the waste of sugar processing as a byproduct. The production of sugar cane, high production of sugar cane, can only result if you have the Sugar Commission. The fuel that we all use, the petrol or gasoline, has got 20% in it made from ethanol, which is a product of sugar cane. Therefore, if we increase production of sugarcane through proper government regulation, the 3 F's, forex, fuel, and fertilizer, will easily be attended to. I plead, Your Excellency, that amongst the bills that your government intends to bring to this House, please prioritize the sugar industry bill. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Very much, Honorable Member from Kotakuta North and the former Speaker, Dowa North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving an opportunity to Dowa North to ask a question. Your Excellency, I just want to find out whether the government has got any plans to improve the transport infrastructure so as to enable the products to access the international market. I'm asking this question, Your Excellency, having a regard in mind to an experience whereby I think about 3 years ago, we identified a market in Southeast Sudan. And some entrepreneurs exported some products from Malawi. But by the time that the products like maize flour were reaching the market, they had already degraded. So I just want to find out whether there are any intentions to develop the infrastructure so that we should be in a position to access the international markets with ease. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Lower North, Your Excellency the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There was a follow-up question from Kasungu North with regard to appraisal system being employed. In fact, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs does that. Many of the contracts have ended. I just got a memo to the effect that the appraisal is being done so that we can either renew or send others to replace those whose contracts have ended. So, Madam Speaker, I cannot say more, but that is a technical issue, and I appreciate Kasungu North. Kotagora North, and Right Honorable Former Speaker, the issue of production is truly an issue that we need to look at, particularly in the sugar industry. When we started out, established SCOMA in those early days, the idea was to have a comprehensive system where even the issue of fuel on our vehicles would be using ethanol. We started that already. Somebody put a close to it, but there's still infrastructure that we can use to fast track that. However, you are right in stating that much of what we would want to do cannot be done because the law regulating this is too old. Let me inform this august House, the sugar industry bill is coming, and Cabinet will soon be meeting because I'm told even the few things that were needing to be done are almost done. So I believe that even before we enter into other things, this should be prioritized to the end that we can truly begin to realize the benefits that come from our sugar production. Of course, though our North wants infrastructure to be able for us to transport all that which we produce quite easily. It is not a secret that much of what we see, even in the rising cost of pricing, sometimes is partly transport issues. So this is why we are prioritizing road infrastructure. And we may not have all the resources, but we will use these resources to prioritize economic areas that can easily help fast-track the economic trajectory that we are desiring to see by making sure that such roads are done. What we need to do is produce our own money to fund such development, and I will elaborate later. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We now go to question PQT3, Kasungu North-Northeast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to confirm that question PQT3 is indeed from the people of Kasungu North-Northeast. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Kasungu North-Northeast. Your Excellency the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you, let me thank the people of Kasungu North-Northeast because his question, or the people's question, centers on the nerve of the country, which is the economy. And so, allow me, Madam Speaker, to address the question in three parts like he has outlined. Number one, strengthening the ATM strategy to help Malawi recover economically. Madam Speaker, my administration has introduced innovative approaches in the agriculture sector by prioritizing productive farmers to access loans and grants from National Economic Empowerment Fund, NEF, the Mega Farm Unit, and Agricultural Commercialization Program, AGCOM, respectively. My administration is also intensifying irrigation farming through rehabilitation and construction of new schemes, such as Shire Valley Transformation Program, SPTP, Program for Rural Irrigation Development, PRIDE, and Malawi Watershed Services Project, MASA. Madam Speaker, in tourism, to increase the number of annual foreign tourist visitors, which currently stands at 1 million, my administration has waived visa requirements for additional countries to boost tourist arrivals. My administration is also working closely with various stakeholders to ensure that the country has more direct flights and that more airlines start flying from here. I'm also pleased, Madam Speaker, to announce that scheduled domestic flights to Mzuzu and Karonga will commence soon to promote tourism in the beautiful northern region. And so with these measures in place, what I will focus on intensifying going forward is the marketing of our country in strategic countries around the world and the development of tourist services, facilities, and activities that incentivize visitors to spend money here from the moment they arrive at our ports of entry to the moment they leave. It will also be important to start training everyone, and I mean everyone, on how to handle the visitors who come. From the agents they meet at the airport, to the traffic police that regulate our streets, to the vendors who ply their trade in our markets, to the pedestrians who walk on the sides of our roads. Everything and everyone must be part of the tourist appeal of Malawi.
Yes.
Because we are all ambassadors of Malawi.
Yes.
We will also audit our country's digital footprint to make sure that whatever anyone searches, or whenever anyone searches for anything to do with Malawi on the internet, what they find is a compelling ecosystem of sites and images that signal to the person that Malawi is the place to be. Madam Speaker, even before I turn to the last M on this strategy, because I know some have added another M in order for us to emphasize manufacturing. It is the industrialization in our vision that is being talked about with that second M. This august House may recall that it passed the Mines and Minerals Act of 2023, which has established the Mining and Minerals Regulatory Authority and Malawi Mining Investment Company. With these critical institutions in place, the country is, for the first time in history, on the right trajectory to benefit from the mining sector, whose benefits have eluded our country for so long. Madam Speaker, already 3 mining development agreements, MDAs, have been signed for Lotus Resources Limited for the recommissioning of the Chakwera uranium mine in Karonga, Lancaster Exploration Limited for the Songwe Hill Rare Earth Elements project in Palombe, and Global Metal for Kanyika Niobium in Kasungu. Several other mining licenses have been issued, including the one for Lindian Resources Limited to mine rare earth minerals at Kangankude in Balaka, one of the world's largest rare earth deposits in the world. But I also want to thank the Honorable Member of Parliament from Zimba North for raising the issue of mining in my home village of Garcia, where the providence of God saw to it that during the presidency of a Malawian from Garcia, the largest deposit of rutile in the world should be discovered and developed to turn around the fortunes of an entire country.
Yes.
For this reason, I myself will soon be addressing Malawians in due course on the status of the rutile project and the measures we have in place to ensure that there is a net gain for Malawi. Because that rutile mine alone is worth enough money to end Malawi's poverty and underdevelopment as we know it. And I am determined to make sure that this path to economic sovereignty comes to pass. I forgot to mention the fact that today, Ministry of Finance and the World Bank have signed the 80 billion kwacha grant for Agicom 2. To facilitate and promote agricultural production. So this will also help produce more and sell more and set more forex for us. Let me look at inflation, Madam Speaker. Let me now respond to the second part of the question, which is on inflation. In this country, inflation is driven by movements of food prices, which is, according to National Statistical Office, about 76% of the inflation basket. This is December 2024, especially maize, a staple food, followed by housing, communication, transport, and education. Now, the food component, maize, is about 30%, and maize flour, 20%, making 50% of the food basket. Failure of food production in the past year has fueled inflation, following the loss of large amounts of food produce to drought conditions in 23 districts. Madam Speaker, since much of our regular inflation is driven by food inflation, the way we are combating it is increasing food production through government-led initiatives such as AIP, the Farm Input Loan Facility at NIF, the Green Belt Authority, the Mega Farms Unit, and matching grants from Agricom. We're also bringing in maize from Tanzania to normalize the volumes of maize on the market and prevent those hoarding maize in order to profit from people's starvation. And then ADMARC will be a critical player as well in this. I paused because some of the things happening in this country is Malawians inflicting pains on fellow Malawians. Yes. And what is happening, for example, in ADMARC and the markets out there, people colluding, people bowing to the altar of corruption, involving various chains, is a sad testimony of a country that has lost values because everyone wants to fend for themselves. Now, the output from these initiatives will reduce inflation through demand and supply forces, and considering that in Malawi, sima, made from maize, is a staple for many homes, I smile because if we say we have eaten, it means a sima for some, even though carbohydrates can be gotten from other sources. We are aiming at for increased production and procurement of maize to reduce inflation through a price mechanism that would come into play on the market. Madam Speaker, the other aspect of inflation is foreign exchange, whose shortage on the market has exacerbated the instability of the Malawi kwacha. We all know that Malawi is a net importer, and most imported commodities come into Malawi at an elevated price. To curb the shortage of forex exchange, Madam Speaker, we have put in place measures to enforce foreign exchange regulations to ensure that every foreign transaction is documented with proper trails. Additionally, I'm happy to announce that we have selected strategic commodities to be de-risked, and we have engaged the World Bank, whose country director I met last week, and whose president and managing director I met last month. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, it should be obvious to anyone who has lived in Malawi that a rise in fuel prices also causes inflation, which is why I decided to change our policy for procuring fuel from the open tender system, which was a loan, to a G2G arrangement. And since I had promised to give you an update on it during the debate on the SONA, allow me to just do so now quickly, Madam Speaker. To ensure fuel security and affordability, my government negotiated a government-to-government G2G fuel procurement arrangement in which fuel should be imported directly from source countries to cut out middlemen. And so others have seen this as a chance to fight it because they feel like we are not wanting to help the private sector. It's not to shut out the private sector at all, but to make sure that Malawi is secure. So far, one emergency consignment already arrived, and Malawians are already enjoying the fruits of this arrangement by accessing fuel whose payment terms are longer. Opposed to a 30-day kind of thing, which is more like spot buying. In the meantime, we are riding on the Kenyan G2G arrangement with Gulf countries to ensure that fuel prices do not rise sharply and signal to traders who transport goods to also raise the price of those goods. However, as I said in my opening remarks, the hyperinflation that has taken place in the past few weeks has not been caused by any of these factors, but is a deliberate conspiracy in the retail business community to make Malawians suffer in order to make Malawi ungovernable and exploit their anguish for political gains in the upcoming elections. This recent hyperinflation is a result of greed and lawlessness in both the sale of forex on the black market and the sale of basic commodities like sugar, salt, soap, cooking oil, house rentals, livestock feed, second-hand clothes, and maize. I'm therefore directing the Minister of Trade and Industry to immediately gazette a market price cap order that designates these items as essential goods and regulates the percentage of profit that traders can make from their sale to protect Malawian consumers from predatory pricing. I'm also directing him to identify local Malawians who have the capacity to supply these commodities so that they can be supported to have a large footprint in the trading of these commodities. Since such locals will reinvest their revenue in the country, unlike others who have large appetites for hoarding and externalizing forex. Lastly, I direct Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs and the Minister of Trade and Industry to work together in engaging the various categories of traders, retailers, and vendors that need to be sensitized on the requirements of the market price cap order to facilitate their access to legal and affordable forex for the importation of their commodities, and to agree on a schedule for restructuring, or restricting rather, the importation of certain luxury and non-essential goods that are draining our forex faster than our exports can replenish. Food insecurity. Madam Speaker, finally, let me turn to the last part of the question, which is on food insecurity versus high inflation. These causes of hunger situation include climate shocks like droughts and erratic rainfall, which are further exacerbated by the global economic situation. Disruptions in input supply chains have also led to rising input costs, posing additional bottlenecks to agricultural productivity. Madam Speaker, to put things in perspective, maize production declined from 4 million metric tons in 2022-23 to 3 million tons in 2023-2024 season, which is no small reduction. And that has had severe implications on national food availability and household food security. A similar trend was recorded in other food crops. For instance, all pulses such as cowpeas, syrup beans, beans, and pigeon peas also declined. In general, adverse climatic conditions experienced in the past 4 seasons have negatively affected production of food crops. As alluded to earlier, this resulted in 44% of the national food crop destroyed in 23 districts, forcing me to declare yet another state of disaster. The substantial deficit in maize and other food crops has already led to a sharp rise in market prices and increased the number of food insecure households. These challenges notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, let me reassure this august House and Malawians in general that my administration has been proactive in addressing these challenges through some of the following measures. 1, subsidized maize sales through Adjournment. Madam Speaker, Adjournment will continue selling maize at subsidized prices to cushion households from the effects of high market prices. My administration has already released a total of 20,000 metric tons for Adjournment. All right.
Time be extended in order for His Excellency the President to finish the conversation and then also tackle supplementary questions. And allow me again, Madam Speaker, after this to move another motion after this has been taken, immediately before the President resumes taking questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Leader of the House. On the last bit, I think we're just trying to clarify one thing, Honorable Leader, because we'll be within time. Once we have gotten the clarification, we'll communicate. Honorable members, I now put the question. The question is that all relevant standing orders be waived in order for us to allow the President to complete responding to the questions on the order paper, as well as the supplementary questions. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary view say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Honorable Leader, you're rising again.
I'm rising again, Right Honorable Speaker, taking precedent of last time. I see the SONA conclusion in the upcoming business, and it would be proper for me to move that it comes to main business of the day. I therefore beg to move that the SONA conclusion, the marks by Ncheu Central, be moved to a supplementary order paper. So soon after the President has done the supplementary questions, then Ncheu Central would wind up with the SONA conclusions.
So you're requesting for a and I have order, please. You're requesting for a supplementary order paper as well. Thank you, honorable members. I now put the question. The question is that winding up of the motion as presented by honorable member for Ncheu Central be moved to substantive business of today and therefore request for a supplementary order paper. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary view say no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. Your Excellency, you can proceed with the responses.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the extra time afforded me. And it's talking about how ADMARC has been given a total of 20,000 metric tons for ADMARC hotspots across the country. And in addition, my administration through National Food Reserve Agency is sourcing 9,200 metric tons for price of this opportunity. To report that my administration received additional resources through Contingency Emergency Response Component, CEREC, amounting to about $35 million from the World Bank for the importation of maize to support the ongoing food assistance programs. A total of 47,600 metric tons of maize has been imported with World Food Program providing logistical support. This is a maize that has already started coming in the country, and 3 million people are expected to benefit. This response will not only enhance food availability, but also contribute to easing pressure on domestic supplies, thereby helping to stabilize maize prices in the local markets. For medium to long-term resilience building, Madam Speaker, beyond these immediate measures, my administration is investing in initiatives to build resilience to climatic shocks in the agricultural sector. This includes scaling up irrigation programs, implementation of the Mega Farms Initiative, promoting climate-smart agriculture, and improving access to agricultural inputs through the various windows, such as NIF and MIC. I could have elaborated more, but let me stop here for now. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very much, Your Excellency. I'll now take supplementary questions from Mwanza Central, Rumpi West, and Delta South.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Madam Speaker, Madam, to ask His Excellency, the State President of the Republic of Malawi, a question. It's a great honor to ask directly, Your Excellency, sir. Although I'm not going to delve too much on Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mills, the classical utilitarians, or talk something as regards to Pope John Paul's letter, Caritas in Veritatis. I don't want to bore you with those things, but straight to the point, as exposed by our esteemed doctor of the church, and that is Thomas Aquinas, who said the service to common good. In that context, Your Excellency, I want to ask a supplementary question. People of Mwanza Central, particularly in Kosikandu Kumaseko, Ngadziwe Tulonkondo Ziyaya, Mlongolola, Tambala, Kunene Kude, and not forgetting Senior Chief Intaje and the Govati. Your Excellency, sir, Without prejudice, I want to thank you for appointing my sister as Deputy Minister. And that is a great honor. And I'll do whatever it is to help without jealous. So, yeah, but Your Excellency, what is your government's plans as regards to hunger? In Mwanza, Your Excellency, sir, in the areas of Chata, Madzapita, Boko, of Chimbwinda, in the areas of Gasuza, these areas, Your Excellency, people worked hard to plant maize, but due to climatic erratic fall of maize and the dry spell, maize withered. They uprooted the maize and replanted, but Your Excellency, fed be what it is, some weevils trying to destroy what we thought we can have or harvest. So, Your Excellency, sir, what are your plans to make sure that the people of Mwanza, particularly in the area of Chata, Matapita, Boko, Maremera, Gatiwe, Jeke, Chagona, those areas, Your Excellency, can be assisted? Secondly, what are your government's plan to help give relief maize, relief maize to particularly the southern region, where it was hit by Cyclone Freddy? We want to thank you, Your Excellency. You did give us maize up to December. When are you going to give us free relief maize, Your Excellency, so that we can be able to be strong? Finally, Your Excellency, I should not forget the stadium is going on. It's going on, but thank you so much. All the best. Thank you.
Mwanza Central, Rumpi West.
Your Excellency, I bring you greetings from Mazisi, Kutivati Muliuri. Right Honorable Madam Speaker, I thank you for giving an opportunity to the people of Paramount Chief Chikula Mayembe, Sub-Chief Kawazamawe, T.A. Katumbi, Zorokere, and Sub-Chief Chipofia. Before I present my supplementary question, I would like to thank you, Your Excellency. Your visit to Tazima Water Gravity Scheme made the contractor to fasten the project, and we tested the pressure 2 days ago. The water by today might have reached Kazuni, going as far as to the end. Your Excellency, sir, your 8M strategy excited the people, made the people of Lumpi District, Lumpi West, to get much in love than what they used to be as your second home because of the Nyika National Park. I'm dwelling much on the 8M strategy. What is your vision to make tourists, when they reach Lumpi, Boma, as they go to Vwaza Game Reserve and proceed to Nyika, the beautiful place in this world, accessible via Bowe, going to Chitanga, Tazima, and Nyika National Park, so that the issues of forex that we are talking about, Nyika National Park can supplement. Second, supplementary, Your Excellency, sir, through the Madam Right Honorable Speaker, Madam, people of Rumpi West and people of Rumpi District, they have heard government is procuring maize from Tanzania, and part of the area where this maize is passing is through Rumpi District. what an assurance do you have to the people of Rumpi district, people of Simuka, people of Katoo, Zorokere, Mwazisi, Garanganda, Kampenda, Bolero, Chanyori, Chakwera, Bururuji? You know all this, Your Excellency, it's your home. And your people there, they are suffering. It's not that they didn't plant maize, but because of the climate situation, we didn't harvest. Lumpi West was one of the constituencies that you provided fertilizer, but the natural calamities didn't make us to harvest. What an assurance do you have that this maize should not just be passing through Rumpi district, but the people from Rumpi West can be assured either tomorrow or next week, before this month end, they have maize in ADMAC selling points. Your Excellency, sir, thank you. Everyone is watching and listening from your second home, Rumpi West. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, Madam.
Thank you, Rumpi West, Leja South.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And through you, Right Honorable Speaker, I bring you greetings from the beautiful people of Tie Kasumbu and Kamenyagwaza. And before I ask my supplementary question, Right Honorable Speaker, the chief, the Tie Kamenyagwaza, had asked me to personally thank the President when he came to visit us in October. And when we were at Tie Kasumbu headquarters, we made a plea for the restoration of the traditional authority Kasumbu, which he gave a directive to the Minister of Local Government that it happens the soonest, and within 3 weeks, Right Honorable Speaker, Tie Kasumbu was restored, and we are very, very thankful the people of Tie Kasumbu. And in fact, we have got a gift with the TA, and the President is going to guide me how best we can deliver the gift to the President. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask the President, through you, what strategies are in place to ensure that the maize grown by mega farmers is not held up, but rather supplied on the market to evade food inflation? I submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Leja South. Your Excellency, the President.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Mwanza Central has really, every time he speaks, he makes you feel like you never went to school. But all those areas that you mentioned, these areas are being serviced with maize from Dodoma. 13,950 households now are being assisted. 4,185 tons are being distributed. And so, if you go back to what I generally stated, we are assisting everyone in the country. Rumpi West, it's the same thing with regard to the food situation. My office, which is the Department of Disaster Management, is supporting 5,764 households with 864 tons of maize. And ADMAC will continue selling maize coming from Tanzania. I know that you see it pass through, but we want to make sure that Rumpi West will also get their relief and low-cost maize. Let me just make mention that the World Bank is assisting this government in this lean season with cash and money in Mwanza. And so this also will help with those that need to have more money. What the fact of the road in Rumpi, I'll probably include that because the last question has talked mainly about roads. But I also need to even make mention of the fact that Makanjira Road, all the funding is available. We will start with what is immediately available so that that road is taken care of. Those that have committed to us, we have no reason to doubt their integrity. They will come through as they have always done. And so, with regard to mega farmers' maize, from their farms, and I hope every one of you can also become a mega farmer. I know there are those in the opposition that are also doing farming, and those on this side that are also doing farming. Let everybody get involved in some production of one sort or another in order for this country to say bye-bye to hunger. We want to protect this maize so that we are able, in fact, the Minister of Agriculture will be doing their estimates, and they will let us know what it is that we can expect now as we approach March. And we should be able to harvest more this time, we believe. I just had a chance to go to my farm the other day, but I know many of you have farms as well. And we trust that with God's grace, this year's production should be more. However, Ardmark will be given the responsibility immediately, and this has to do with the finance minister's statement, I guess, Friday, but Ardmark will be given money to procure more maize. We have now acquired machines that can help dry the maize, so that we're able to be there on the market rather than lose everything else to those who just want to take advantage of our poor farmers. But I can assure you, the reason we are talking more about mega farms is so this country can have huge harvests from the same. And in as much as we help households with minimal help in terms of inputs and so forth, subsistence farming is not what will develop the nation. We should move away from subsistence thinking and subsistence farming to where everything is upscaled. And so I'm happy to have farmers on this side, I know. And so let's work together and make this nation a truly productive one. But we will protect the maize. Thank you.
Very much. Leader of the House, you're rising.
Yeah, I'm rising, Madam, just to, through you, thank the President for a wonderful time. He has taken to respond. But now I'm rising to ask that we curtail questions and
Honorable Leader, there's one more question.
Are you praying, Madam, that I should allow the member? All right.
I think
okay.
Question 4 was withdrawn, by question 5 is still there.
We allow the member, but I would insist that only the member, but not supplementary questions because of the time.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Karonga Nyungwe, question number PQT5.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for granting the people of Karonga Nyungwe constituency to ask a question to Head of State. I stand before the Head of State to confirm that indeed question PQT5 is from the people of ST Mwinangombe, Sub-Chief Mwinuka, Sub-Chief Mwembero, and under the authority of Paramount Kyungu, Mwakawanga, the 24th PhD. I submit, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you, the Head of State, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Very much, Karonga Nyungwe. Your Excellency the President.
Madam Speaker, let me, through you, thank the people of Karonga Nyungwe for the question that has come, particularly to give updates. So allow me to provide road-by-road updates on the progress strategic road, both nationally and regionally, as it is part of the north-south corridor in the SADC region. My administration acknowledges that the road is currently in a poor state with potholes which have reduced its level of service and increased operational costs for road users. Currently, the process of procuring a works will be like those for Lilongwe Mzimba turnoff and Kacheche Chiwera sections of the M1 road. Meanwhile, a contractor has been identified to work on the difficult sections of that road to improve mobility. The Kacheche Chiwera road, Madam Speaker, as regards this road, China Henan International Cooperation Group Limited is carrying out rehabilitation works on this stretch, and the initial completion date for the contract was 28 June 2024. However, some design changes have necessitated the changes in the scope of the works, and more especially in the escarpments, and the completion date, therefore, has been extended to 28 December 2025. Chitipa-Nyika-Rumpi Road, Madam Speaker. Let the August House know that my administration considers this road a strategic one in advancing the ATM strategy, as it connects and eases mobility of people and agricultural inputs and produce. My administration is implementing this road in phases, and the detailed engineering designs have been finalized. Plain construction companies working on the first 20 kilometers of the road from Borelo to Bembe, and is expected to be completed in September 2025. Procurement of the contractor for the remaining stretch is ongoing. Rehabilitation of the Mpata Road in Karonga. Madam Speaker, on the Mpata-Kapirinhonde Road, my administration is aware that this is a shorter route to Karonga, and procurement of a consultant to carry out engineering designs and works for the road is underway. Meanwhile, my administration will continue to attend to urgent issues on some sections of that road to ensure continued connectivity. 5 Iromba Road. Madam Speaker, let me assure the honourable member for Karonga Nyungwe that challenges surrounding completion of this road have now been resolved, and the road is scheduled to be completed this year in September. And if they are, all right.
Very much, Your Excellency, for that, the responses. As it was said earlier by the leader, we will not have supplementary questions because of time.
Madam Speaker, I might as well just close my remarks.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
Madam Speaker, I must thank you for according me this time to come and answer questions from Malawians. I do not have much by way of closing remarks except to address one thing. On a lighter note, since it is now settled beyond the shadow of a doubt that I have excellent informants, I am reliably informed that the Leader of Opposition's response to my State of the Nation address included a declaration that this would be my last SONA because he predicts that I will not be returning to this House as President after the upcoming September elections. I therefore wish to remind him that there was once a president in this country who came to this House and declared that neither I nor the Malawi Congress Party would ever be in government except over his dead body. And so my advice to him is to learn from that president to leave prophecies to those who have the calling for it. Failing which he may find himself standing in this House in October to withdraw that prediction from the handset, being a false prophecy. So I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sit down. Right Honorable Speaker, I know you have always have your own words when the President finishes questions. But this time around, because we're still under SONA, I wanted to beg that now we move to supplementary question, and this time around to allow the Member of Parliament for Ncheu Central to wind up the SONA statement. Ncheu Central.
Government business. Motion on the President's State of the Nation address. The move of the motion to wind up debate.
Honorable member for Ncheu Central, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Ncheu Central constituency, in particular the people of Senior Chief Kwataine, Senior Chief Magwangwala, and Senior Chief Deputy, to wind up a motion on the State of the Nation address, which was moved on the 17th February 2025. Madam Speaker, let me appreciate all our members of this august House on both sides of the aisle who shared their thoughts and insights on the SONA. Some thoughts were very insightful, some constructive, some just political, and some were completely off track of the debate.
But it is please, Madam Speaker, that most of the honorable members who took the floor in debating were agreeable to the SONA and praised the President for bringing to the House a very detailed analysis of some of the developments that have been carried out during his 4 years in office. Madam Speaker, if I were to summarize the SONA using a hypothesis that's being scientific now, I would use his remarks as he was concluding the SONA, which he said, and I quote, "Madam Speaker, I have delivered." End of quote. This was a hypothesis. Madam Speaker, for the benefit of those who don't know what a hypothesis is, it is simply a statement that is informed by existing knowledge and observations. And so a hypothesis is supposed to be tested. And if we are to test it, I would use a framework which was developed by the President himself. And that is a super high five framework. If you go through that, Madam Speaker, the super high five, that was a framework to guide his development agenda for this nation. And he went around the country when he was campaigning. That was his key campaign message, the super high five. And if you test that against the hypothesis that he said, Madam Speaker, I have delivered, you will see, Madam Speaker, because of time, I could have run through that hypothesis using that framework. You would have seen that the hypothesis is true. Wonderful. Because you tested whether it's true or not. But Madam Speaker, if you go through it, if you test it against the framework of super high five, you will see the hypothesis is true. Madam Speaker, what is the truth? The truth is, Madam Speaker, I have delivered. So the President has delivered. The S, Madam Speaker, servant leadership means he is a servant of the people. He has been coming to this house and he is here in this house to answer questions from the people. He is a servant of the people. Madam Speaker, I'll give you one instance. When the second Friday hit us as the Malawians, he was abroad. But he left everything, he rushed to Malawi. And from the airport, straight away, he drove to Blantyre. And he stayed in Blantyre for 2 weeks, visiting people who were affected, mourning with them, giving them relief items. That is a servant leader. And that is leadership, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you, in that means uniting Malawians, Madam Speaker. Remember, he had to create a ministry of unity. Just to make sure Malawians, we are one. There is no Ngoni, no Chewa, no Tupuka, no Tonga. He did it. He delivered. He delivered. Madam Speaker, the P, prospering together is the key issue in the SONA. He actually mentioned all those projects, all those developments that prospering together. Madam Speaker, he delivered. And the hypothesis is true, Madam Speaker. The issue of ending corruption, the E in that one. Madam Speaker, you know, when he entered the office, he increased the funding to SCB. He employed so many people to SCB to make sure SCB delivers. And the SCB, if it didn't deliver, it wasn't the president, it was themselves. But he delivered. Madam Speaker, let me not go into details because of time, but I want to finish in this manner. He delivered all this despite the noise in this country. And the noise is this, Madam Speaker. Someone said, and I quote, the noise of frogs in the river does not stop a lion from drinking water. End of quote. Madam Speaker, the President delivered all these projects, all these developments, despite the noise. We have the political noise, We have the COVID noise. We have the cholera noise. We have the second Gombe noise. We had second Anna noise. The second Freddy noise. The Russia-Ukraine noise. The global recession noise. The drought noise. And many more noises. Despite all that, the president delivered. This means, Madam Speaker, we have a president, we have a leader who is focused. A leader has to be focused, and Chakwera has shown he is a leader who is focused to save Malawians at all costs. At all costs. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I beg to move that this House do agree with the State of the Nation address graciously delivered by His Excellency, the President, Dr. Lazarus Magafe Chakwera, on Friday, 14th February, 2025. I beg to move. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Nchewu Central. Honorable members, we have a motion on the floor. The motion is that the House do agree with the State of the Nation address graciously delivered by His Excellency the President, Dr. Lazarus Magafe Chakwera, on Friday, 14th February 2025. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary view say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Honorable Leader of the House.
Right Honorable Speaker, mine is to thank you in the manner you have chaired proceedings today, but most importantly to congratulate His Excellency the President for respecting the Constitution. Madam, you were here when you used to listen to a DVD or a CD instead of a president coming to address us. But the president has lived according to his promise, and he has respected the Constitution. He has not been afraid of any rebuke, but decided to respect the Constitution and the people of Malawi. And for that reason, I would like to congratulate the president. Secondly, Madam, I rise to ask a very fundamental question about government and parliament. If the whole leader of opposition and the opposition part, because we have the opposition, but mainly the leader of opposition, decides to run away from asking the president questions that could benefit Malawians, and this House should continue to call that person a leader of opposition? Madam, the question that I have is, what if the leader of opposition will come and ask me, the Minister of Local Government, questions? Should I take that question? Yet I serve the president. What is the point? Did he delegate his position? Maybe to the leader of UDF. Maybe to the whip for UDF. This is a fundamental question asking to you and for the legacy of this House. A House which is a house of traditions and records. Should we indeed have a leader of opposition who just come to greet the president and does not stay in the House to ask the president questions at this critical time? And that leader of opposition, together with his team, goes out there and starts saying, this country, there are no answers. Constructive criticism is what we look for from the leader of opposition and his team. Madam Speaker, I leave this. I've written the COP about this question because we wanted to move for his removal. But according to the standing orders, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. It's only DPP that can do that, or indeed the party that elected him. But the question is, should we indeed have a leader of opposition who runs away? Is this the way how DPP wants to save this country? I want to thank UDF. They might not be happy, but they're in the house. I want to thank you for what they've done. I want to thank the leader of PDP, Honorable Konrad Nankuma, for what he has done, for being in the house, listening to the president. That's what democracy entails. We never run away in the house when we are ruling. When they killed people in Mzuzu, 21 people, we still came here. When they did a lot of mercenaries here, even when the people demonstrated and they destroyed this country, we came in this house, supported their budgets and everything. Malawians are better judges. That's why we have said and will say, DPP is not an option for Malawians. Tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow, Friday. So tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow, Thursday, is a private members' day, Madam Speaker. And I leave that work to the members of Parliament. I thank you and have a good evening. And once again, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader of the House. Honorable members, before I adjourn the House, let me thank the President, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, for coming to Parliament to respond to questions raised by honorable members of Parliament. Indeed, you have always come to Parliament whenever Parliament has asked you to come and respond to questions. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that. Honorable members, I wish to inform the House that after adjournment of the House, the Speaker's procession will leave the chamber and proceed to the Presidential Lounge to see off the President when leaving the premises of Parliament. Thereafter, the President, in the company of the First Deputy Speaker and the Leader of the House, will escort the President to the Presidential Lounge. Finally, honorable members will leave the chamber, marking the end of today's sitting. Please let us adhere to this procedure to ensure that there is order and decorum when leaving this chamber. May I appeal to all journalists to keep away from both the Speaker's procession and the presidential entourage to avoid distracting them. I now adjourn the House to tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. House adjourned.
Phone kitenge phone yako mimi kwa mwanayo. Soviet. Soviet nataka phone mimi kwa mwanangu.
Ina akudabwa akufunsa kuti chifukwa chana vice president akungokhalira mwina chigawa cha southern region mwina pakati ndi ma programs amene iwo a vice president akonza sikuti kapena apanga kokha kunoko ku southern region ayi apita next ku central region, eastern region, northern region konseko aponda abwera chithandizo chibwera ndithu akumpoto chithandizo chibwera aku eastern region chithandizo chibwera aku central region chithandizo chibwera konseko a vice president aponda ali ndi ma programs awo amene akonza kuti ayendera maboma osiyana-siyana madiye osiyana-siyana madistrict osiyana-siyana so musatope kumaona olo musatope kufusa mafunso fusani ndithu ndizomwe a vice president akonza kuti apita uku ndi uku ndiponso mukudabwa ena mukuti makatani pamenewo akukafikira munthu pakhomo kupereka chithandizo tikudziwa kuti chithandizo chimene chocho sichingafikire nthawi yayitali ndi pang'ono sudziwa zoti mawa china chimene chibwere ndi chani ndimene zilili kunoko ku Blantyre lulo ende kutali ku mapiri kuupya
Jakatanu?
Abaya afusa kuti mulibe amuna awo akuvomera kuti ndi amunanga awo amuna avomera kuti ndi akazi anga angoyimapo avomera bwanji eti mwavomera bwanji mwanena kuti ndi akazi anutu amayi akuti ayi sindino alibe amuna koma angozo mwaona ngazinthu angozo
fazer surué, quando ele queria surué, você é bongo. Hey, block them there.
Amayi ndimene mwapezera chithandizo cha ufa mawu anu mukuti bwanji?
Abwana ndilibe mawu pano ndikaja chazana kwani kudya apapa ndiye ndikaja
ndathokoza. Mwadziwa kaya ngati amene akupasani ufa?
Ayi ndiuzeni bwana sindikwaziwa.
Mwadziwa inuyo?
Dziko mukwambiri ndaziwa ndamanganyana ndikaja
ndathokoza.
apitirize akabwerese kukomotsera pamenepo nisojazana mama
Ni mai kutokoza kwambiri ndibala kubwera kwa bwanawo amasoja wapasana apa ndikutokoza kwambiri kuti lero ndikaje simu siko mukwambiri kwa vice president amene
takunyadilana
tathokoza kufa ndakona ninjani apa pazikaenda basi but wathoza vice president akhani moyo utali abana hey hey Ode antro kugari wamani antu warumbaya napo yababa na kulele tukulapila kwapusha tu Utaika. Anyamata fete abere ku ajunu nyamata kwani ne nyumbanga ndi tinabwera tunofuna ndio hapa sina ubezo ndine munwaje wa nyumba nje koma mama wanandipeza mtawi nake mama hapa na fete Es Morwan, de Bracón. Fete. Chimenda kuze ni katika ukoko osalina muzigo pita. Kamba right? Chimenda nitakuze ni ukoko osalani. Mungo nyamu nga muzani? Pita. Oh, iya yapase kai mai. Aisa. Ali kuti. Awa. Eh. Ndabwera fu. Iwe. Mama, ase. Ndabwera na bwana. Bwera. Kwani ndikuti? Ndikuti. Manyumba ali kumusi huko.
Manyumba ali kumusi huko.
Maya wali kuti. Alu. Asalau. Tauze ni maya, tafu ni maya kewe abweli.
Oh.
Eh. Tani zile nako. Usapita sanga. Zile nako. Mapula zoko. Tienu. Ya, api dapi ndio nao mwewa. Ai, anawasanga kitu bwana. Mwenye bomba. Ukozo kunsitsa tu ufa ikabasi. Amayona ikabasi. Uyuso musise. Ale basi. Ndio ana mwasiro kanyutu. Usapide nao anao abana kufuna eneo. Kai bombo nao. Kale bombo. Five. Nzuri ngani.
Amina kuita nani kuseria mwadziwa ngati madziwa kuti ndinda advice
5
okay
tangu
anyamata ochenjera ino nanuso mwadziwe
yeye kwambiri madam
vice president
asa imapo
amena ndo ochiwiri achiwiri takunyadira niyo kanga tisimukwadziwa
tuwaziwa vice president 1 2 3 4 wa 5 ali kuti bwera ni maya anata nyamata tuko anata nyamata bwera nyamata anatu ao okay fine tie oyamba mayo tie ngaimena hapo ndio nyamata kada bwera tu bwana
abwere mmoja
nyamata nyamata
huyu tapita
amai bwera ni hapo amai ai Maride hapo. Tie maride hapo muina. Maride pamene. Oh. Kamu jali pangata hapo. Amjali. Asibera kite.
Mai amene akupasani ufa mwadziwa ngati madziwe ndanda
wano ndauje amanganya a vice president
takunyambirani
itu
kaya mawu anu ndiotani ndimene mwalandirira ufa
kuti ndidya ndamanga
mudya ndi ana anu muli ndi ana angati folo takunyambirani kwanu ndikonkuna
ineyo kwathu ndi boma la Cholo koma panopo mpa munanga
kunoko kwa munana ambiri kunoko kukhala ngati ndi akutyolo kutyolo okay kumudzi wanji uno wa mabala tiye nsomba blantan takunyambirani zikomo kwambiri usamalire kwambiri zikomo mwadziwa amene mnali nawo kuseri uko mmacheza nawo
andadziwa
madziwa kwa
president
takunyadilani
ndithu
zikomo
komabe mpata uyankhulana nawo wasowa
wasowa
ndiye ngati kuli kotheka kokuti akanimva mwauze kuti kunoko njala sizikuyendayi zuwa lija linaononga kwambiri komanso niumva zona kuti akumalemba madera mwazi nzathu ngongole yokuti anthu azithirira kuti azipindula muli nothirira ifenso kumuzi kuno mene ationeramo atithandizeko
chabwino
ndithu amama
chabwino
ndithu
ayi afunsa pamapeto
zikomo kwambiri
tipanga zimene zikomo Ten. Ten basi. Atsikana amene mmacheza nawo kuseri mwadziwa ndi andani? Amanganya. Tathokoza. Zikomo. Mwadziwa sweti?
Vice President Amanganya.
Vice President Amanganya. Takunyadirani. Mwadziwa
nazo Amanganya.
Ndanda.
Vice President.
Okay. Takunyadirani. Zikomo. Anthu mukungotuluka tumosangalala.